My back leaving. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the drama free Black Love series. Let me tell you, we are here to discuss and raise awareness around healing and restoration within relationships within the Black community with a licensed therapist, none other than Dr. Alicia. Dr. Alicia, come on up here on the stage.
Hello, everyone. How you doing? How you doing, Jasmine? How's your week been?
You know, today's Tuesday, but it's really feeling like a Monday because
Well,
Mondays are the best days of the week.
last time I spoke to you was last Tuesday, and the conversation just gets. I don't know where we're going to go today. I know we have a topic, but who
Yes.
knows where it's going to take us? So I'm willing to go on this ride with you, Jasmine, for real.
Okay. Go on this ride with me. So this week, it was on my TikTok and it was talking about attachment styles. And I remember I was in an Uber and my Uber driver was literally listening to a book on attachment styles. And I was like, okay, so we got attachment styles. That's like our energy for this week. And I was like, what is attachment styles? Like, what are the different types? How do we get attached to humans? What does attachment mean? What's healthy attachment? What's unhealthy attachment? So, one of the things I wanted to do tonight was cover how attachments styles influence relationships. And we got, of course, a ton of topics that we want to discuss, but I want to make a quick announcement. When you're coming up in here, tell us where you joining us from. Just throw your state in here. But also, if you are a therapist and we are creating our catalog of episodes for 2023 and we want to bring more therapists, more people that can join the conversation on healthy Black love all next year. So if you have a therapist that you would love to get more exposure or you know that they've helped you, send them our way so that we can continue that conversation and build a community around healthy Black love. All right, we good? Yes. So, Dr. Alicia,
Yes. How are you?
I want to be attached, dear Lord, okay? But I want to be attached in a healthy way. Can you tell us what are attachment styles and how we as humans began to attach ourselves to other humans?
Well, we begin to attach ourselves to other humans by how we attach ourselves as an infant to our primary caregiver. So when we are born, we all we can do is cry. We can't do much of anything. And so it is the daunting task of new moms and dads and all the other caregivers of infants to try to figure out what is going on. So in order to do that, you have to be responsive when the baby cries. You have to be available to the child, to the infant every time it cries. And you have to, on some level, be engaging. And so it takes all those three categories, and nobody gets it right. Like, there's no such thing as a perfect childhood, there's no such thing as perfect anything. But what the beginning task of you as an infant is for somebody to try to figure out, because you can't talk, you can't write things down. Here's what I need. So you need to have a responsive, alert, empathetic caregiver there that can respond to your needs as an infant. So usually you're hungry, you're tired, you need your diaper change, you just need stimulation, or there's too much stimulation. And the task for infants and for parents who are raising infants is to regulate try to regulate the child. Because imagine if the baby can't tell you, I've had enough stimulation, all it can do is cry. And what do? You pick the baby up and you regulate for the baby. You calm the baby down when it gets overwhelmed with things. And so eventually, after infant is in a situation, and really infant is from 0 to 4, those are the critical years, where that child needs somebody who's able to adhere to what they need. And when you have someone who's fairly able to attend to you, to give everything that you need from 0 to 4, what you come out of that with is a secure attachment. Okay. And so if you have attachment disruptions at early age, if you have someone who's not able to attend to you for whatever reason, maybe you have a primary caregiver who's sick. Maybe you have a primary caregiver who's on drugs, or somebody for whatever reason is not able to respond to you appropriately. Then you have what's called insecure attachment. So that's attachment styles in a nutshell.
Mm, okay.
Yes.
So let me wind this back. We got secure attachment, we got anxious attachment, we got avoidance attachment, and then we got combination attachment. Those are like the different types of attachments. And all of our attachments stem from childhood.
Yeah, it does. And so, so what we know is that fast forward, depending on if it's a secure attachment or insecure attachment, fast forward when you're in relationships with someone else, that sort of attachment style is your dominant attachment style. And so it has an effect on how you are going to relate. So how parents related to you and how you relate to your parents has an effect on how later on in life, how you're going to relate to your significant other. And or even just at work, or whoever is an authority figure to you, if you have issues with authority figure, all of that is based on early childhood experiences. And so you mentioned anxious attachment. Maybe things are inconsistent when you were a child. Like sometimes your mom was there, sometimes your mom wasn't there, and you're not quite sure if someone's going to be responsive. So maybe someone was responsive for a while, and then all of a sudden they just disappear on you. So maybe you have attachment injury. We call it attachment injuries in the
Mm.
in the in the mental health era. Maybe you have these attachment injuries, so you're not sure. You can't properly predict your environment. So when you get older and you start dating and you give somebody your number and they say they're going to call you and then they don't call you, you're like, oh, wait, what's going on? You start to have this anxiety and you're like, wait, are they going to call me? Are they not going to call me? What's going on? So all of this has an impact on your attachment styles. So that's anxious attachment. Avoidant attachment, or that comes about where where you don't really want to you want to try to avoid. Maybe some things are very painful for you when you were younger. Maybe you want to reach out to your primary caregiver and they shut you down. So avoidant attachments have a lot of shutdown, had a lot of somebody disregarded you when you were younger, or your primary caregiver didn't encourage you to talk about your feelings, didn't encourage you to um, ask for what you need. So fast forward when you're in relationships and you're with your significant other, you are apprehensive about asking for what you need in current relationships. So maybe you're avoiding. Maybe you don't want to talk about feelings. I don't want to talk about feelings. Feelings don't mean nothing to me. There's a lot of people who are just like, feelings, I don't care about your feelings. So what? We're together and all of this. And so they're dismissive. They can be very dismissive and avoidant early on, because as children, their feelings and their thoughts and desires were dismissed. And so when they get into relationships, then they can become very avoidant or dismissive.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then what's the combination?
Yeah. So what
You got both.
we call it disorganized attachment. And so disorganized attachment comes from early childhood abuse. So there is this desire and this need when you were little, that you would really, and we know this, by the way, all of this was studied, very, very closely when they would interview infants. And so what they'd have their primary caregiver, not interview, but they would videotape infants where their primary caregiver would come into a room and then the primary caregiver would leave. And so they were recorded and they would record the reaction of the child. So when you have children or infants, when their primary caregiver came into the room and they saw the person, you could actually see the child, even a toddler, kind of get up and go to their primary caregiver. They may cry a little bit when they enter the room, but they're apprehensive about getting too close to their primary caregiver. And so that signals to us, because my background is in social work and we're always making these assessments. So that signals to us that there may be it's possible that there's some type of abuse happening in that household based on how the child is reacting to the primary caregiver. So What are you like when you're in relationships? Well, it's almost like it's like a chaotic sort of attachment. So it's like you have this desire and need for closeness. But when you are actually close to somebody, it gets really scary because when you were a child and you got too close to your primary caregiver and you made a mistake or you did something that, maybe was seen as shameful or seen as bad, that person punished you or inflicted harm on you and made things really uncomfortable for you or abused you in a way. So when you're in relationships, you may say, you know what, I need you close to me. I need you close to me. And then when you actually establish that level of closeness, to maintain that is very difficult with people with disorganized attachment because it's very frightening, because being too close to somebody is always seen as something of a threat. So that's the disorganized attachment.
Wow. Wow. Imagine we are loving people in our adulthood based off our childhood. Would you recommend healing the childhood by talking with the parents? Like, how should
Um,
we engage with our parents or our caregivers, or maybe the people that trained us on what love looked like before now? How should we unpack this?
well, I mean, there are several assessments you can take online. A lot of people don't remember. Like they don't really like no one comes to, and I'm a therapist, so no one comes into my office and says, when I was a child, my mother, when I wanted to get close to my mom would beat on me. And my mom wouldn't let me get but so close. And so now I have disorganized attachment. Like no one says, no one says that. But you can kind of tell what happened because 0 to 4 or 0 to 5, not many of us really remember what happens, but we can almost, as therapists, we can almost tell what type of childhood you've had based on the type of things that you come to therapy presenting as. And so then we start asking questions, and that's how we can kind of be like, okay, I bet this is what was going on. Like, tell me about what's happening. Do you remember any painful memories here? Or, we can just tell, by asking them questions about how they're functioning right now. Now, in terms of like healing, there's all different types of treatment to heal. I think it's important, number one, to be self-aware, just to know your dominant attachment styles. And you can go online and take, I think, Jasmine, you were looking at some online assessments. You can
Yeah.
go online and you can be able to kind of have an understanding about the type of attachment style, primary attach, because all of us can have bits and pieces of attachment styles depending on the type of relationship that you're in. But you can tell what type of dominant attachment style that you have. And then I think being self-aware is really nice. I think it's seeing how you can have these sort of experiences and you can honestly and openly talk to it in a safe space. So as long as you have a safe space, it could be a friend, it could be a relative who was nice to you. It could be a significant other. A safe space in order for you to feel comfortable enough where you're not going to be judged and you're not going to be ashamed, where you can really talk about all the things that you really need.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So taking a test, you can literally Google it. I saw a few of them. They were
Mhm.
free online and they're called attachment tests. I know that there are some good books out there as well. So let's say you take the test and let's say you come out and you got anxious attachment. Let's just
Yeah.
throw it out there. That's what you came there. What do you do with that information? You know how we Google and Google be like, darn, are you about to die? So like you even took this test and now you're like, oh crap, I have anxious attachment. Like, should I love? Should I be in a relationship? What should I do with this? Should I tell my partner? Like, what is the energy behind that experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be helpful to tell your partner if it's somebody who is, loving. I think a nice, loving relationship can help heal a lot of these things. And definitely seeing a therapist can help heal a lot of these things. Even if you're in the, I don't really, I've talked about this before. Like, I think that no matter what attachment style that you're in, I think that, unless you have a substance abuse disorder, unless you have major issues with like severe anger, unless there's something, severe mental health issues, unless there's something like out there like that, I think that just about any and everybody, can enter into a relationship and fix a lot of the things that they had growing up. I mean, you mentioned, should you go and talk to your mama about what she did, or your daddy, or your auntie, or your grandma? I'm not, family therapy is helpful, but I really do think that, that's why I love couples therapy, because I kind of feel like you can't really change your family members in that kind of way, but I really think that it is in your power to change the dynamics of your relationship with the significant other, and you can heal that way in a lot of ways, as long as everything is respectful and it's not toxic and it's not getting into a place of like constant inconsideration and no one being accountable and things like that. But I do think that, you could take this time to, talk to your significant other. Say, listen, when you go to the grocery store and I don't hear from you in a while, these sorts of things come into my mind and I start thinking about these sort of things. So I just wanted to let you know that, like, being comfortable sharing and asking for what you need, which is very dangerous for some people to ask for what they need. That's like a no-no for some people.
Mm.
How about
I
you, Jasmine? When you're in relationships, are you comfortable? It's hard asking for what you need. Are you good at asking for what you need?
We're being clear. Okay. That's why I was like, Lord, do I need to investigate attachment styles? Because it was on my Uber ride. It was on my TikTok. At this
Oh,
point, I tell my phone enough times, it's gonna show me ads on attachment styles. So I was like, Lord, there must be some things that I can, develop, I can cultivate, I can get better, I can work on in this way. And I'm just like, I know for myself, I have found that I do have some anxieties. Anxieties is thinking far past in the future and all things that could go wrong. And the way that I get back into the present is meditation and gratitude and prayer. Meditation, gratitude, and prayer, and recognizing nothing's happening to me right now. Like, I need to stop
yeah,
tripping, right?
yeah,
But also, I've noticed within myself, if I do start to like someone, because it can take me a little bit to like somebody, and I'm like, okay, why didn't they call? Why didn't they text? Why didn't they show up? Like, what is their energy? And I do know I know it has something to do with like abandonment. I'm not saying my parents abandoned me, but I do share with
oh,
y'all how my parents divorced at 7. It's some stuff started happening in my childhood to where it's like the things that was consistent was inconsistent. So I'm like, ooh, Lord, could that be some of the areas? And then avoidance attachment. I'm just like, I know I've avoided some things. I've avoided some things. I think all of us have probably done some of this at some point in our life, but I'm like, man, when I think about relationships, whew, and all they've done for me, Lord, help me. I think that I've had some good ones, and then I've had some that have developed some potentially like negative traits or negative outcomes or negative habits when it comes to dating again. And I think that alludes to like that next question, Dr. Alicia, which is when you are loving and when you are in relationships, you don't know if this is about to be like detrimental to your entire existence or if this is going to be the love of your life and you all are going to go on to love and have babies and marriage and all the things. Like, you never know. So it's like you still got to take that risk. But like, what are some ways that you can identify if you are dating? Should you be in it based off if you're loving wrong? Like, should we, if you know you attaching wrong, should you really be in it still? And I know you say if it ain't got nothing to do with alcohol, if you don't have substance abuse, but God dog it, you can be addicted to some love and it ain't got you going in the right direction. Okay, it could have the same energy of drugs and alcohol. Okay.
this is such a great question. Okay, so first of all, Jasmine, thank you for sharing. I think that what you shared is not different from what a lot of people feel in relationships,
Yes.
including myself. I get worried, like what's going on. So yeah, I mean, I think, like, first you talked about like abandonment issue. Nobody wants to be abandoned. Like, rejection is probably the worst feeling in the world. I don't care how secure you are. Who
Yes.
wants to be rejected? Like that's like the worst. That is like not good at all. So rejection is just awful, even for securely attached individuals growing up. Nobody wants to feel rejected. So I think that's good. And I think, it's reasonable that you would be, worried, as long as it's not excessive worry. It's not a crippling sort of worry. You always have these what ifs. What if this happens? And then what if that happens? And then what if this happens? And it just goes down this whole mountain of what ifs, because you have this internal dialogue or self-talk in your head. And if you're not careful, it can be really negative. And
Yeah.
so I work with a lot of my clients on dealing with this negative self-talk, because what happens is that what you're thinking has an impact on how you're feeling. How you're feeling has an impact on what you do, your behavior, and that's when it can be crippling. So I just want to say, like, anxiety is a real feeling. Feeling anxious is actually a protective feeling, because that's the reason why we're alive right now. Our DNA is alive because somewhere in our ancestry history, someone was anxious and alert and avoided danger. So, and anxiety is your friend. But when it gets out of control and crippling, anxiety is not your friend anymore. So you have to say, thank you, anxiety. You have helped me. But now I think you've just gone too far. Pipe it down. And so it's having that internal dialogue with that anxiety, because a lot of those anxious thoughts about what ifs, sometimes it was given to you, by your environment. Someone was like, be careful out there, put a coat on or you'll catch a cold. Things that are told to us when we're children. You better wash your hands or you get sick and die of COVID. All these things that
Mm.
they tell you is excessive worry. So you do want to keep that under control. All right. Then you mentioned about avoiding, why people avoid. People avoid because they want to protect themselves. They don't want to put themselves out there. Like, they have feelings and they have thoughts, but they're real cautious about sharing it. And you should be a little cautious, right? So some of this stuff makes sense, to be cautious about who you share. You just can't be like an open book and just TMI with everybody and be totally open and sharing with other people. And it is impossible to kind of know when to kind of pull back. But when it gets excessively avoidant, where you just the thought of having a conversation with someone drives you crazy, and you're just like, you know what, I'm not going to have this conversation with you. And then they ghost you. All y'all people that be ghosting people, stop being so avoidant. avoidant avoiding people be ghosting you. They don't want to hear, and I just think, like, that's not very compassionate. And what's interesting about anxious and avoidant is they behave similarly. So, and an anxious person is not going to deal with things because they're too anxious about it. What happens is that you put off, but what happens down the line, you end up being more anxious about it because you were putting it off. We're avoiding people just don't want to talk about it because it's going to be too overwhelming for them. And sometimes they just are clueless. Like, they haven't had the ability to have somebody, they haven't had ability to feel or to encourage feeling or emotion, the wide range of human emotions. All of us have emotions, all of us have feelings, and it's important to regulate. Remember when I said if a baby is crying, it needs to be picked up and regulate. So you regulate for the child. You see toddlers going crazy and having meltdowns, and their mom or dad or whoever their caregiver needs to be calm in the
Yeah.
midst of a toddler being kind of chaotic. You want to be able to say, okay, all right, it's time to calm. It's okay. You need someone to be able to calm them down. You regulate your child so that when they get older, they can learn how to regulate themselves. So anyway, you asked about, what did you ask about? Oh, getting into a relationship. It takes some risk. You got to take a leap of faith. And it should be someone that can make you feel comfortable.
I know I stand for the millennials, and right now on TikTok they're doing I think it's called what, the dating wind ups or whatever, wrap ups, the dating wrap ups, and they're literally like saying how many dates they went on, how many times they got ghosted, how many times they heart got broke this year,
That's
how
funny.
many times like that felt like I was about to die. And like they're putting it in these eloquent PowerPoint presentations, and we love that for them.
I just, you know what? These millennials are doing this. You know what? Bravo, millennials. Millennials are so on top of it. As far as I'm concerned, any millennial can hang with me, because they're millennials embrace therapy. When people in my generation is like, I ain't going to therapy, what's wrong with me? Or they go and they don't want to tell nobody about it. Millennials are like, it's so funny because I do have clients that are millennials, and like they're like, oh, me and all my friends, we were all sitting around and talking about our therapist one day, and it was like a badge of honor to have a therapist. They were all like, yes, and well, I can't do that because I have to see my therapist on Thursday. Well, I got to see my therapist on Wednesday. It's almost like they normalized
Yes.
therapy.
Therapy is normal. If you're not going, you a red flag. If you ain't went, red flag. You don't think you do need it, red flag.
That's right.
Not to do it. Like if you ain't mentioned therapy at least one time a week around me, probably don't want to be around you because you're not unpacking some things because all of us got something to unpack.
That is just beautiful. I love millennial. I love y'all. I love y'all for it. It's just really wonderful. And this is the sort of climate change that I really want. Removing the stigma. You should be stigmatized not to go to therapy, right? So removing the stigma of like it's a strength. It's a strength to be able to say, you know what, I need somebody I can talk to about this.
Yes.
To me, that's strength. So y'all are getting it right. Y'all fix it. Y'all breaking generational curses.
And half of us like, God, we can't be your strongest soldier. And like, you
Yes,
sure we breaking are we breaking the generational curses?
Yes.
Or are we breaking? Like, which one is it? Because like, I would like to know. And so with that being said, so let's say you are starting to like somebody. You took the leap of faith. Dear God, you did the coffee, you went and got drinks, you're on your 5th date. I even saw a video where he analyzed how many first, second, third, and fourth dates he went on. I was like, this stuff is getting good, okay? And I'm like, and you start to notice a pattern about yourself, and you're like, I'm starting to get anxious, or oh my goodness, like this could be too good to be true. Like the whole what if statements. And maybe you start to avoid. What do you do right then?
I think you take a deep breath.
Safe words? Like, what do you do?
Take a deep breath.
Right. One
day at a time. Take one day at a time. Live in the moment. Live in the moment. Relax your body. Start doing some affirmation. Affirmations are great.
Yeah, I had to do that this week. I was like, you're not gonna die. Things are okay. Like gratitude, be grateful. You're okay. Like,
but you want to trust yourself because you want to tune into yourself. Like the biggest thing is pay attention to how you feel when you're with that person. Let me tell you, I don't know if sometimes I want to say I'm clairvoyant or I'm psychic or something. I don't know what it is, but I can always put my finger on something when something is not right about somebody. And I made a believer out of my husband. He now is like, I know Alicia is spot on because I have been so spot on with so many my assessments of some of the people he works with and some of the people he collaborates with. I always have this intuition about it. And everybody has it. There's nothing special about me. We all have it. It's just that I've just practiced tuning into that. So, and I trust myself. So that's the thing. You got to trust yourself. And so it really takes me being centered and being able to trust myself. And then I interact with someone and I could walk away from that thinking about what was my very first impression before my conscious mind talked me out of it. What is my quick first impression of someone? I've learned to really trust it. And when I don't trust it, nothing happens when you just know better. You'd be like, I knew it. I knew I shouldn't have done, I knew it. Like if you don't trust your first thought, you're going to live to regret it. So some of it is just being in tune with things. And you know how I feel. Take it very slow, Jasmine.
How do you take it slow? What's the step on slow? Like
Slow it down.
slow, okay, we slow it down. So does
Mhm.
that mean you talk
At a snail pace.
okay, so 1 hour a day. Hi, how you doing? Great. Have a good day.
Yep.
Then it progresses to 2 times a day. Like we need steps. What
Well,
is
I mean, yeah. So it's time, right? So if somebody likes you and they feel confident about themselves, they're going to reach out to you and they're going to be receptive if you reach out to them. They're going to be like quick to text you back, or they'll really reach out to you and see how you're doing. But you know, that's one thing you need to pay attention to. Like if they're at a position where they're really ready, sometimes it's just easy, you know. And then of course you always have to be careful because you know how people can love bomb you, and that's when you need to say, listen, this is going too fast for me. I'm not comfortable with how fast this is going. I think we need to slow it down. Like it's okay for you to speak up and say, this is something that I can't, I just cannot have this right now. We need to slow this conversation down at this moment, or we need to slow how fast we're going. We're already going here. Let's just take time to get to know each other better and see where this progresses. So, and how they react to that when you try to slow it down, that says a lot. I mean, it if anything, the dating world is going to get you to learn how to trust yourself.
I be trusting myself and then I be like, Lord, what is
Why did I trust myself?
I be, it's a constant journey. And what's crazy, and I think I don't know if anyone can relate. If you can, put it in the chat. Make sure I don't feel alone, okay? Because I'm gonna be the vulnerable one on the call. When it comes to business, when it comes to career, when it comes to making money, confident is day. I'm saying I can get up, I can be knocked down, I can be turned around, and I'ma still find like that extra gumption to do it. When it come to my heart, man, when I tell you I be like, I'm nervous. Like all the things that maybe like if you're starting a business, like sometimes you have insecurities, you don't want to post, you're nervous about investing in yourself, all those things. It's like when it comes to love, sometimes I be on that same, I be like, Lord, why does this bring out the lesser parts of me? Why am I not in my highest self? What is going on? Like, why can't I show up in my fullness out as much as I've developed? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, is this just a me thing? Is it an environment thing? Is it this ain't the timing thing? Is it get out the game kind of thing? Which kind of thing is it?
So what kind of experience? Like this is good, Jasmine. What kind of like? Come on.
Let me tell you. So let's just say, we spend a lot of I spend a lot of time. I listen to podcasts, I read books. I'm around great people. I mean, Dr. Alicia, we're on the podcast right now.
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right, this is theory. We have to apply what we learn. And it's that moment of application
Woo.
where you're like, wow, I am having to face myself. I'm having to face my fears. I'm having to face my insecurities. I'm having to face this anxiety that I have. I have to lean in where I want to run away.
Really? So this is interesting because you do need to be really centered and balanced because you want to make sure that you're not running away from a situation that could potentially be awesome, and you want to make sure that there's no false positives. You want to make sure that you're not getting into a situation and you're like, wait a minute, there were some red flags that I totally ignored. Why did I ignore these red flags? Well, I
Yes.
should have just stayed away. So you want to eliminate the false positives. And so yeah, it is, and that's why I say take it very slow, pay attention, observe, listen more than you talk. Introduce, when you're first dating, you have to kind of introduce them to different types of settings to see how they act and respond. You got to make sure. I mean, that's the part where you're trying to figure out, are we even compatible? Is this even going somewhere? Can I take it? Can I take listening to you eat all day, chomping on food? Is that going to irritate me? You really do need to be. Is this your person? Is this
Yeah.
my person?
And so is like, do you wait 3 months to like give it a good hard evaluation?
Here we
Especially
go with the
you an
timetable.
adult. You an adult, like,
Mm,
our generation, we be like, all right, you ain't it, bye. So like, how much
yeah.
time do you really take in order to, you're taking your time, but you're like, all right, you know, the step can move to the next step.
Yeah, and I think some of it is cultural. Like, I love this show called Married at First Sight. I think it's a great show, but when I just like watching it because I love how it all kind of falls apart. But when I think about it, when I stop and think about it, that show is really, it gets me. Like, it's setting these poor people up for failure in a way. Like,
Yeah.
it's putting people in this impossible situation. They're like slamming people together. They don't even know each other, and they're putting them in this high stress situation with cameras all around, with all their business out there, and then they're saying you should have a beautiful and wonderful wedding, and they don't really give you any therapy. They have experts, but the experts, to me, I don't think they do as much as they should. The experts should be doing more. I think, if anything, a lot of the people who come out of Married at First Sight, I think they're way more damaged than when they came in. And for me, as a therapist, it's unethical. There goes my chance of being. I would love to be an expert witness on Married at
I
First Sight.
saw when
But
you
I
were
guess I probably lost
that.
my chance of doing that. But I don't know if I would, because it just seems like, for me to be involved in an experiment like that, for me, I would want to, I would really want to be really considerate of the experiences that these individuals are going through. And I felt like there should have been interventions on many different occasions, and there weren't. I saw one lady have a psychological meltdown in the middle of her honeymoon because there was something about her mate that seemed to have triggered her, and she just couldn't do it. And I think, and part of me was just like, this poor child needs a hug from somebody she know, like her mama or daddy needs to come and calm her down. Like, to me, it just felt uneasy. And so with that, I think that we're seeing so many examples of what's unhealthy, to like quick fast a marriage. And and by the way, Married at First Sight, their divorce rate is way higher than normal people divorce rate. So they're not very good at matching people together and giving them the support that they need for them to stay together. And then the experts kind of like they get very defensive and say, well, it's them, it's not because of us. But anyway, so I really think I feel like talking about that show because it troubles me. And they have a new season coming out in January, and I'm going to be watching it. But anyway,
Okay, and
that's
that's what
how I feel.
we should add that to the show list, like the impacts of dating shows, the impacts of love and relationship shows. Because I know that Love is Blind, that was one of mine, and I literally watched a woman get into her marriage or whatever, and then like now she's going through her divorce, and it's just like she genuinely went to this experience with all the hopes in the world of finding her
Yeah,
partner. Bless you.
thank you.
And it's just like she walked away more hurt. She
And it wasn't
you
really
been
her
on the show
fault.
because you wasn't getting the result, and you leave the show and it made it, and now it's just public. Now it's a big old stage
It,
for
it can be humiliating. That can be very humiliating. Can you imagine the anxiety of those people that get on those shows and see publicly that their entire marriage and whole relationship, and they're having intercourse with these people? Like, I don't know if I would ever put all my business like that out there. Like, what? Like, who can? Like, I don't want to know that about you. Like, I have children. You're gonna have children one day, and they're gonna be like, "Mom was doing all that back in the day." Like all of this is recorded. That's embarrassing. So it's just the whole humiliation factor of a lot of those shows. And people like me, shame on me for sitting there watching it with my popcorn, like, ooh, what's gonna happen next? Because I like how I like watching it. So I'm part of the problem, you
Yeah,
know.
I guess it's
Admittedly.
kind of like if you know some food bad for you and you keep eating it, that's giving the people more reason to keep making the food, regardless of if it's good for you or not. So, that's just one of those things. We're all at a crossroads. I'm pretty sure some people are like, man, I really want to listen to rap music, but that journey right now, or I really want to watch certain things on sports, but now, it's just like everybody got this little double-edged sword of the life that they're living, because they know what's technically right and wrong, but it's like, but it feels good,
Yeah,
you know.
and you know what? I think I really do think that all of us should do whatever brings us joy. Like
Yeah,
we all should really do that. Like we should not have this, I like sports. As much as I don't like football, like if I could get rid of a sport, American football is one sport we could toss that sport because I see the impact that it has on those CBT, those traumatic brain injuries and all of that I see with those concussions. I'm absolutely kind of really concerned. And I know there's been some technology and helmets and all of that, but I don't know, running full force and slamming into another person. I don't think that's too hard on the body. But if it brings you joy to watch it, why not watch? Do everything in your life that gives you bliss. Just go for it. Within reason, of course. But go for that. I think you should do that for yourself. Listen, we only got one body. We are living inside of our body. I'm not Alicia. My body is named Alicia.
mm,
And I'm living here operating as Dr. Alicia with whatever the knowledge. I mean, I've been trained to do what I've been doing and I enjoy it. And I think that that's my purpose in this body. But, one day I won't be in this body. I'll be moved on to a whole nother dimension and we can go into, we can go into that if you want to, but so why not do what brings us joy?
I love that. I got a shout out to everybody that's been joining us on the live with love. Aisha
Yeah.
says, I used to love this show, but it's for ratings. The majority of the couples separate. Yvonne, she said, good evening, good evening, good evening. Then we
Yes, Yvonne.
This GTG1 blessings. Thank you so much for being here. This is that part of the show where, like, if y'all have any questions, we would love to hear y'all out or to answer any questions that you have. I know for me, if it's nothing but just being the sacrificial vulnerability soul that says, love will be what it's gonna be, but at the same time, sharing experiences so that y'all can resonate with them. So
I mean, Jasmine, your experience, I mean, I don't think it's any different from anybody else. You're like a breath of fresh air to people. Come on.
I that's why I don't understand why I experiences that, like, because people be taking the fresh and the breath of fresh air, right? So like if you're high energy and like you're a loving person, you attract a lot. And it's like until I had, I guess, my self-worth where I really understood, you know, what is it that I am supposed to attract to the highest level of me,
Yeah.
not settling in any capacity. And like you said, monitoring how you're feeling, monitoring how someone treats you, monitoring that. Like, I truly believe that, like, the life lessons or the relationships that I've had, they just got me further to where I am today. Like, it was just that it was that Adele album, right? Like, we could
Girl, which one? Which
albums,
one?
they all good.
Her breakup album? That's
Yes,
the album.
but you couldn't get that version of her until she went through some pain and it got packaged into purpose. And I'm like, that's how my life has been. If I would have already settled down, had my kids, I would not be right here with you, Dr. Alicia. I wouldn't be talking this talk. I'd be somewhere chilling with my man on the couch right now, eating some popcorn, looking at a show. But that's not what my life has given it. It's giving a bunch of experiences that allow for me to transform pain to purpose. And it came directly from loving Black men. in some regard.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you know what? That is beautiful. Let me tell you, that is really beautiful. You cannot make any mistakes. If you choose to do it or if you choose not to do it, it's always going to work out the way it's supposed to work out anyway. And I hate to sound so fatalistic, but I'm saying it to give you confidence because that spark that comes to you, that idea that hits you, that's divine. And
Yeah.
you got to go for it or you wouldn't have thought of it in the first place. So anything you ever think of is possible or you wouldn't have thought of it. So it all is in your favor.
Yeah.
And
I
I
would.
sure wish I had your level of confidence at your age. At your age, I was like, oh, I don't know. You should, oh my God. I was not where I am now. And you know, like recently, Jasmine, I have been just like, something came over me recently. I have had like so much like, God, I can't even not. It's so new that I can't even put my finger on it. But I have just had. I have this sense of clarity, and I don't know if it's because I spent it start. I spent. It's COVID. It's that's what it is. It's COVID. I spent so much time by myself in my own thoughts, and I've reflected, and I've become way more confident in a lot of different ways. I always was confident because you know all of the experiences and just all everything that I've been exposed to, but it's something extra. It's something different in me. Something changed in me. I don't know what it is, Jasmine. Something changed in me. It's taking on this new skill because who would have thought I'd ever be on YouTube? It's crazy. I would never ever thought that I'd ever be on YouTube. And I have this level of confidence in my university and I know what's going on. Like when I go to my university meetings, I know what everybody's going to say before they say it. Like I'm not saying that like as a know-it-all or
Yeah.
anything. It's just that it's just I've been there, done that. I know what's going to happen. The proposal's going to go through. I mean, like I understand. I know when students are going to have questions in my classroom because I've taught these classes for so long. So it's that sense of anticipation. I can anticipate what's going on, and so it just feels good to not to be at a certain place in that position and then take on something new and then so many of my skills is transferable. It's really something.
I think it's like you're seeing that your gift is far past the school.
Yeah. Oh
Your gift is far past a location. It's global. It's
yeah.
through the internet. Anything that you put your mind to, and it's like, wow, people need me. I can be on five. You can be as big as Steve Harvey you want. You can be on the show every day of the week with
Mhm.
a different person, and talking about therapy and healing and transformation and restoration and in different conditions with different people. And it's just like the internet has evolved so much to where it needs you. And
Mhm.
you see that. And it's like when you literally, the need, you're attracted to the need and the need is attracted to you, it becomes this cycle of, I found my life purpose
Yeah.
again, but in a new way. And
Yeah.
that's refreshing. That's
Yeah.
inspiring. That's motivating. Oh, I love this. It's like I can run now. I've been walking, but like I want to do this. And, it's the same feeling that I get, which is sometimes I was 6 months where I wasn't on the internet, and man, my DM was, where are you at? Where are you at? I am figuring my life out, everybody. Is this really where, was y'all really watching me, or was you just watching me? Like, what was it? And it's just like, now that I've come back this year, I'm like, there's no other space that I would like to show up more than to be a need in whatever that space is on the internet, or not even just on the internet, in person. I
Mhm.
just know I'm a problem solver. I'm an asset, not a liability. So it's just like it's small things that keep reminding you as to why he woke you up today.
Yes. Yep. You're not done. You're not done.
Done.
Mhm. Mhm.
You're not
Mhm.
done. And
Trust
you
the process.
and
Trust
you're
the
like,
process.
I bet you feel like you just getting started.
Yeah. Yep.
You're like, I've been
Mhm.
doing it all these years, but it's like I can do. I've just picked it up. I see books, more books coming from you,
Oh.
conferences. Like
Mhm.
I know that there's a sector for you. I know it. There are single people that need you to be like, come to this side of the room and come to this side. As small as like simple as that may be, that's where most people in this day and time may actually find somebody. Let's be clear. Because
I've had people contact me. I've had people contact me say they met people in that setting. I've had people contact me.
exactly. And it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
but it had to start from somewhere. And it came from a thought. It came from you being at peace. It came from you
Mm-hmm.
being confident. It came from an abundance and not a lack. Oh, I'm in my bag tonight.
Yes, we took it up a step. We stepped it up.
We did.
But you know, it takes a while for us to get like you really kind of like gotta start the engine. And
Yes.
then once it gets moving, this is where I'm like, who knows where we'll take it today? But that's where we're going today. That's where
Yes.
we're going today.
That's where we are going. And that's why I love I doing this because I get to learn something new that I didn't know last week. I get to unpack a different area. I get to, tell you, hey, I'm going to keep trying.
Mm-hmm.
God love a good try out of me. He probably love a good try out of anybody that's listening. If y'all just give him a good try, okay? And Dr. Lee should be like, keep holding on. Get in there. She is my cheerleader, y'all, when it comes to relationships. She's like, how's it going? I'm like, almost dying over here. Stick in there. Keep going. Keep loving. Keep trying. You deserve it. I'd be like, who knew? Who knew I needed a cheerleader like this that's like, hey, what's going on over there? Obviously, you don't have substance abuse. You don't have alcohol. And nothing's wrong. Like, you got to go to the doctor. Get yourself in that game. And I'm like,
if you want to be, you don't have to be.
I that's the thing, I want to be. It's just you just want the finished product, and it's a journey. Like you gotta wake up and you're like, wow, this is the relationship of a lifetime. It's like it's a process with anyone you meet. It's a process.
Girl, you are so funny. Okay, so I think we can wrap it up.
Let's
now.
wrap it on up.
Let's wrap it up.
You know what, Dr. Alicia, tell the people where they can find you, where they can come book with you. A lot of people also been asking me about the matchmaking. Is that still up? Is the site up? Can we get matched?
I thought it was up. I mean, it should be up.
What is the site on there? Because when I tell you people are asking, they're like, we want to meet our man.
Girl, okay, put it on our agenda. We're having a business meeting next week.
Yes.
Put that down for our agenda.
Yes.
My name is Dr. Alicia. You can find me on Instagram at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. That's where I put all of my content and clips and so forth on there. My website is coachingwithdralicia.com. You can go there. If you're interested in my services, you can fill out the intake form. I will email you back. It may take me a few days because I get a lot of intakes forms filled out. So it takes me a while, but I will get back to you. And, I do couples therapy, individual therapy. I also have 2 people that work with me. So a lot of the scenarios is that, I'll take the family and then maybe individuals will be taken by some of my 2. I have a African-American male therapist working with me, and I have a African-American female therapist working with me, and she's got twice as much experience as I do. So sometimes I will siphon out some of the people that I meet with the 2 people that work with me. They're long colleagues of mine who I look up to, and they help me. They help me out in a lot of different ways. So that's how you can hit me up there. And Jasmine, tell us.
Yes, you guys, you can follow me everywhere on the internet at Jazz the Pretty Plug. Also, I have a Lovebirds brand. Literally, I want to spread love to 1 billion people. So you got love on the front, and I literally got, I don't know if you can see my shirt.
What is that? Lovebirds?
Yes, Lovebirds. I got birds on the back. I gotta send you some seasoning so you can cook for your minion and y'all can have chicken. And so I got Lovebirds, and then obviously there are different events that I have coming up, but overall, love birds. And just make sure that you're liked, you're comment, and you're subscribed to all things Dr. Alicia and myself. We'll be back next Tuesday for another episode on a drama-free Black love series. Thank you all, and good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.